Hey, thanks for joining us today. We're going to cover tax investing news across 15 markets now over the past 2 weeks and give you an idea of the tax deeds, tax liens that have been added, cover some foreclosures. We're going to talk about over-the-counter properties and auction properties. Up till now, we've covered 14 states. This will be our first time covering 15. And it's a preview state we're going to save for the end of the video. So if you want to catch that, you have to either sit through the video or jump to the end. But we're going to start through our normal states and take it from the top with market totals. So these are the new properties that are added to Parcel Fair since October 8th. That's our last video. We've added 18,979 properties, and those break down into 17,197 of those are tax liens, 1,154 are tax deeds available, 606 are foreclosure, and 22 new properties from land banks. And if we want to look at the same time period by state, we're looking at over-the-counter properties first. Arkansas had the most ads in the last couple weeks with 254. Mississippi had 204. And then Tennessee, 21, and so forth, kind of the smaller additions in Florida, Alabama, and Oklahoma. Next, let's talk about the auction properties added. This is where the bulk of our new numbers came from. Colorado had 9,929 new tax liens added from auctions. South Carolina, little spoiler for the end of the video, had 5,966 tax liens added this week. New Jersey, 1,297. Florida, a little less, with 622. And those are going to be tax deeds in Florida. New Mexico, 44. Tennessee, 23. And lastly, in the foreclosure category, Florida had 445 new properties added, 141 in Colorado, and 20 in Indiana. So a lot of variety across many markets for you to choose from, and all of these properties have been researched and available in Parcel Fair for you to look at. So let's move on to our first state, and we're going to feature Maryland first, not because it has the most auctions or even the biggest auction, but because it has the last auction of 2023 coming up this week. October 26th marks the end of the season for Baltimore County, and as I always say, not Baltimore City, Baltimore County. The date, this has kind of been a weird one to track because it was moved back about 2 weeks from the original announcement. Then we found the list, and we've been tracking it. It was over 300 to begin with, and it's dwindled to roughly 268, actually exactly 268 tax liens as of now. There could be a few more falling off the list before the sale, so keep up to date with us daily. And again, this auction closes out the 2023 Maryland auction season as we know it. I have seen in previous years where maybe there's a secondary sale or some type of resale where they offer some leftovers at auction, but there's no guarantee we'll see that this year, which leaves only one other way to buy, being over-the-counter. There are over-the-counter properties available in many of the counties, but most notably, Baltimore City has 3 ways to buy over the counter. There's the 2023 OTC liens. There's the 2022 leftovers that recently moved into the Buy into Baltimore program. And then there's the Buy into Baltimore program that has been just accumulating these for years. And those 3 ways add up to 2,880 OTC properties that you can choose from. Some of these are going to be tax liens. Some of them are going to be, like in that Buy into Baltimore program, you're actually buying the property kind of like you would from a land bank. So let's take a look. We've covered Maryland quite a bit, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time. We do have the auction calendar shows the final auction here on October 26th. This is the Baltimore County map. The distinction here is the smaller county here with the big letters that say Baltimore. That's Baltimore City. It's a different county. That's where all those OTCs are. But the auction is actually an outlying county, which is Baltimore County. And just viewing over the properties, you can see there's some that are large acreage. There's some that are more city, smaller residential properties. So a bit of variety there. It is kind of a suburb, if you were to say, compared to Baltimore City proper. So there's a bit of a difference there. But as you get closer to the city, you will see more of the smaller lots, maybe even some commercial and industrial lots. So again, this auction's coming up this week. And if you wanted to filter and really hone in your strategy, you can always use our search filters for things like vacant land and improvements. Let's see how many, it takes it down a little bit if we do that. Let's put a minimum value of $50,000 to limit the results. And let's see, let's choose out-of-state owners just to make it interesting. So that took us down to 16 properties. If you wanted to dial your strategy in using those filters, that's how you would do it and get to something maybe like one of these, where on the right side you see properties that are higher value, have a structure, and are owned by an out-of-state owner. And we'll pick this one and take a look at it. There's one tax lien available for $12,000. And here are the auction details. It's online, and here are the links to go sign up and actually take part in that auction. So that's a quick way to take you through down to one property and filter through that list. So again, we've done a lot of videos on Baltimore, so I'm going to move on. Next up, let's go to Colorado. The fall auctions are here. They've actually been here for a couple weeks now. We are now tracking over 30 of these county auctions. We're tracking over 20,000 tax liens, and you're going to see this a lot today. You should check out our new Colorado tax lien auction video. It was released about a week ago, and it's going to give you a lot more detail than we're going to go into in this video. It's going to go through the actual auctions, and even since that video was made last week, there are more auctions being added. So these numbers are moving throughout the season, and we'll see auctions continue to be added. And don't forget, there are over-the-counter properties available. You buy these OTC liens direct from the counties, and there's foreclosure auctions as well. And we're looking at 18 foreclosure auctions being tracked in October. So let's take a look. We do have that other video with a lot more detail about Colorado, but let's check out our auction calendar, and we'll see the first of the auctions in October have actually already passed. Oh wait, I need to filter. We're looking at foreclosures and tax auctions. In the top right here, I can filter to tax auctions only. So actually only one of the auctions has passed. Sorry about that. El Paso happened last week. It was one of the largest auctions, and so it was over 2,600 properties, if I remember correctly. So now we're looking at some of these other counties and their auctions, and you can see the numbers here, the breakdown, and then you can actually click on something like this. Let's view the properties in Pitkin County, for example, and we're going to see some nice 55. It's kind of a smaller auction, but some of these are pretty high value. Like this one is valued at over $500,000. It looks like maybe a kind of a junkyard, but lots of variety out there. Some of the mountain properties like this that are much prettier as far as just nature and scenery. Here's another one, also kind of a bit of a junkyard too. And then of course we can always look for acreage. Let's do a minimum of 10 acres and see if there's anything. There's only 6 properties there that over 10 acres in this county, but as you see, we've filtered down to it very quickly. And so we can look at these properties that are just south of Aspen, actually really close to some ski slopes. And there's a property right off the bat worth $3.5 million. It's 17 acres up in the mountains. So that's the sort of property you would be researching for the Colorado auctions. And if you want to see over the counters, we can switch over to all counties. Let's clear those filters out by clicking this button here. And we're going to look at over-the-counter only by doing that. And now, so there's 1,200 over-the-counter properties available right now. As you can see them scattered around the edge of Denver. Let's switch over to map view for contrast. These little green properties, a lot of them over-the-counters are going to be picked over this time of year. So there's a lot of ditches, a lot of strange kind of properties that are not really that valuable. So with this few properties, I'm going to go view those results in a grid instead of looking around the map. And I'm going to click the total value column and sort it to see what the most valuable properties are up top. And that's going to save me a lot of time getting to the bottom of, I'm going to pick a property like this. And we're just going to look at it that way. So that's a much quicker way to dig through these properties. And lastly, if you want to see foreclosures, you can do that. Let's clear filters again, all counties. I'm looking at availability foreclosures only. I'm going to click on that. So 424 foreclosure auctions that we're tracking right now. They're going to be sort of scattered around the state also, but those are available to bid on as well. So if you want more about Colorado, we've spent a lot more time on the other video to watch, so go check it out. And let's move on. Oh, there's actually 15 more foreclosure auctions coming up in November. Forgot to say that. New Jersey, we've talked about it a lot in the fall auction season because we saw it coming for a long time and we're eagerly awaiting, and now it's here. September, there were only 10 auctions, but we've tracked 85 in October, of which 23 are still remaining in the coming week or two. We already see at least 15 more tax lien auctions coming up in November. I expect that number to grow somewhat. I don't think we'll have as many as we had in October, but they may surprise us. So as always, check back for more auctions as they're added. And if you want a deep dive into New Jersey, there's a different video for that on our channel here. And if you want to keep track of our videos as they're added, check out our channel and subscribe if you want to be notified and see when those new videos come out. It's one of my most common questions is, have you made a video on this state, or when is this video and coming out? So subscribing will help you keep track of that. So the New Jersey auction calendar is what we're going to look at here. We're going to see a lot of these have completed already in October, and now we're down to the end of the month where some of these are remaining. And then we have the 15 coming up in November right here. Again, we should see more than that. Let's just pick a random auction. We'll go with Maplewood. I haven't looked at it yet, so let's just view it on the map and see what's there. Pretty concentrated area here with these yellow outline properties that are going to be in the auction. If we scroll on the right, we see some that are pretty high value. I'm going to check out, I don't know, let's see, maybe this one. And I've chosen, let's go to satellite view there. And let's zoom in on this one. So that's a very nice looking property. If we view the details on it, there's a tree blocking us, so we're going to use the power of Google. Click on this open panorama view button and take a little drive down the street so we're not staring at that tree because we want to see the house behind it. So hold on, buckle up, I'm going to back up the car, and this is the actual house we were looking at. We can take a look at the neighborhood and see it is a very nice area. You know, if you haven't shopped in tax lien auctions before, I'll just help kind of level set expectations. An expensive property like this with a cheap lien on it, it's likely to redeem, so you're often going to just get the interest for this type of property. I would say well over 90% of those at this price point. So you need to be content on a property like this with getting the interest, and if it does go past the redemption period and you're able to do better, then that's just that's the ideal case, but you can't bet the whole farm on that. You really have a low probability of a property this value making it all the way through all the redemption periods, and that's common across all tax lien auctions. If you want to see more about this auction, we're going to click this upcoming auction button. It's going to show us where it is, how to register for it, and how to see the list, and that will save you some time. If you want to see more about this property, always go to the research link section on the bottom right. We can look at the New Jersey GIS map, or just go check out the property assessment report and learn more about this property here. So again, New Jersey, if you want to know more about these auctions, we have a much more detailed video you can check out, and I'll link to it in this video. So let's talk about the Indiana fall auction season. The auctions are in full swing. It's called the treasurer sales when we're talking about the fall auctions. There are 43 auctions in October, but only 6 remaining. So we're getting close to the end. I say full swing. We're actually about to close out on it. There is a video from a few weeks ago that takes a deep dive into the fall auction properties. And again, there's only 6 remaining, so we'll take a look at those in a second. But also a reminder, there are foreclosure auctions available. There were 30 scheduled in October with 10 remaining. And there are currently 11 scheduled in November and probably more to come. So let's take a peek at Indiana and let's look at the auction season and see what's left. So on the auction calendar, selecting Indiana, and now I'm going to select tax auctions only so we can filter out all those foreclosure auctions. You can see by the totals there were 44 tax auctions in September, 43 in October, and let's go to the bottom and we can see what's remaining right here around the 24th. You can see these are the ones that remain. These are all pretty small auctions except for Porter. So let's take a peek at that one by clicking on the View Properties button. Oh, okay. I have not looked at this one yet. It is on the Michigan-Indiana border, it looks like. And, of course, we have the lakeshore right above it, kind of near Chicago. It's actually look like we're just east of Gary, Indiana, which is Lake County, one of the most popular auctions. Let's click on markers and overlays to draw the county borders so we can see where this property is. The gray outline, and let's click on map for contrast. Now you can really see the county we're talking about. It's this tall, skinny county right here that goes straight up to the lake shore. And we're looking at properties in this county, just sort of scanning over the yellow outlines like this. If we want to do it by geography. And as I'm always pointing out, if we want to see this from more of a list view, I'm going to click on parcel results, view these results in that grid, and now we can go sort by total valuation and see there's a very expensive property at the top, followed by some that are less. And like I just said in this video, some of the higher value properties are going to be a smaller chance of them, or a higher chance of them redeeming early. So wherever your sweet spot is, if you're looking at residential properties, maybe something like for rental property potential, you would look closer to maybe this range, give or take. Then of course we picked one with no imagery, so let's pick another one. Okay, so now we actually found the land behind these houses. I don't see a structure on there. So what I want to do is go filter my search. And I always show you the filter from the map. I'm going to actually filter from the list. It's the same exact thing. You click on the magnifying glass, and then you're going to say, show me improvements only. And that cuts the list down to 80 from 391. Oh, whoops. Let me go back to the grid there. So now that we're looking at that, let's try to find one. We're looking at structures only, and I'm looking at a price point where this building column, let's sort by the building value instead. Let's look for something around 100 or less. What's a good one here? Don't want to go too far. Let's try this one out. So this one looks commercial. Let's just look at the one above it then. Okay, so now we have a residential property. It's a vacant property address in the upcoming auction. It looks pretty rough. Let's check out that panorama view. And we're going to see, I can already see some roof damage, at least on the outbuilding, and actually on the main building as well. So if you were thinking of buying this property to own it, you would definitely want to be comfortable putting a roof on or doing some major roof repairs. Some of the cosmetic things shouldn't scare you as a tax investor because these are expected. I would say a roof, not necessarily cosmetic, a roof is a little more of a preservation requirement to keep the property from being condemned or from any other major damage and protect that value. So for properties like this, be ready to do some major rehab just to keep the value of the property. And of course, this being a tax lien, you will have to follow the right procedures to get that property first. You don't want to do your preservations too soon. So if you want to learn more about the assessment, we have the research links in the right corner here, and we can go see the assessment breakdown for the property. And to learn more about the auction, we have a purchase option here. And you're going to click that and see the registration link, the list, and the location. This is actually not an online auction, so it's going to be in this location here. So that's how we would sort of weed out and find the property where we're looking for and pick apart an auction like that. So let's go back, and next up we're going to talk about New Mexico. So New Mexico, it seems like every week we talk about it, it seems to be coming to a close, and then a few more auctions show up. So you can see the first 3 in October have happened, and now we're down to the last 4. There's actually, this Taos County one is actually October 26th. It should be 25th, 26th here, not 24th. That was a mistake. But we do have this new auction at the bottom, Rio Arriba County, that was recently added. And like these other states, we did a New Mexico tax deed auction video in depth a few weeks ago, so you'll want to check that out if you want to learn more about New Mexico tax deed auctions. And let's take a peek over here at New Mexico on the auction calendar. So scanning through October, you can see we pick up right here with these 4 auctions that are remaining. And let's take a look at Taos County. I think I picked a county that, yeah, there we go. Let's draw the county borders on the map. And so we're looking at this large county right here. I can see some properties grouped over on the side here, back on the satellite. It looks like this may have been a development that was on hold or canceled. So if you research this area, you might find there's value in those properties, or you might find it's a mess and not want to mess with it. But that kind of research could be where you find some good properties. We're looking more residential as we move into the city. You can see these lots are probably have water and electricity since they're next to other houses, if that's an area of development that you'd like to invest in. And getting closer to the city, we can even see some of these properties downtown that already have structures on them, like this one. And it looks like the Google car did not drive there, so we do not have a street view, but we can still see the auction information here, and the posting and listing and the actual list of properties. The date and the location is going to be in person, not online. And if we want to see more about the property, the assessor report is right here. So on the county assessor's website, which is slow loading, there we go, we can see the breakdown. A lot of this information is in parcel fare, but if you want to dig in deeper, this is the way to start. We could even calculate estimated taxes and go through some different tabs here to do some research. So that's, again, if you want to know more about New Mexico, we have a video that goes through in a lot more detail, but this is a good update for what's going on right now. Moving on to Tennessee, it looks like for some reason the Davidson auction popped up first. So let's just give you the background. So these are tax deed auctions in Tennessee at 12% interest. It's a penalty interest rate, so you get 12% whether the person redeems in the first month or any time in that first year. It's 12% flat. It is a 1-year redemption on these tax deeds, and that auction season, again, it goes year-round. There's not a very strong concentration of 85 auctions in a month like we saw in New Jersey, but year-round you're going to see just auctions sort of sprinkled across the calendar. So we just had, I think, 3 or 4 close out, and so here are the next 4 auctions that we're looking at. Shelby County will be a big one on Civic Source coming up this week on the 24th. The 26th has a small auction for Maury County on Govies. Stewart will be November 2nd, and then Davidson, they actually had the first auction in a while that they did not cancel in October. We'll wait and see if they actually cancel the November one or not, but they're notorious for posting an auction and then pulling it. So we'll keep track of that for you, and we always list them as canceled if they get canceled. And lastly, we do have the Shelby Land Bank in Memphis, which every week there's a few properties added to that. It looks like there were 12 new properties added this week. So we'll take a peek at the auction calendar and then move on from there. So here are the auctions coming up we just talked about. We'll see if the Davidson one happens, but basically Shelby, Maury, and Stewart. And if we want to check out Stewart, let's just take it for example. It's a 17 property auction, very small. We can quickly go through 17 properties, but on the map, we're just going to take a peek. There's some nice 23 acres of land here that looks like it would be excellent for timber or just a nice natural area you could enjoy. This is an oddly shaped parcel it's actually two parcels, that's why. So there's one has the house and one has the land only. It's a 4 acre of land and 1 acre for the house adjoining. So that would be interesting if you were looking at trying to get some acreage together. There's actually a third property here that's has a building on it as well. Let's take a peek at the report here. The Google car did not drive this far out either. It's somewhat remote, so we're going to have to look at satellite images only. But the details of the auction are here on GovEase. You can register or see the list, and you can see the assessment on the right side here at the Tennessee website, which would take you straight to the report where you could learn more about this property in great detail, including the building, the improvements, the mobile home, even the cooling system is listed here. So a lot of detail if you want to learn more about that. And of course you can go to the GIS map on Tennessee here and see it. Looks very similar to our map, just ours looks a little better, but that's okay. So that's a quick jump through a small auction in Tennessee. This is just a beautiful area on the Kentucky border and lots of watershed. It's a mountains region, Cumberland River right there. So beautiful area. So next, let's talk about Arkansas. So the auction season for 2023 is over, and so now it leaves us talking about over-the-counter tax deeds. They're starting to show up, and we're tracking those as they arrive. 665 leftover tax deeds were added in September to the Commissioner of State Lands website for you to buy. And in October, 940 were added. So we expect those to be trickling in through the rest of the year into next year. And you're going to buy year-round through the Commissioner of State Lands. These are mini auctions that run every day to purchase leftover tax deeds. Oh goodness, I lost my presentation here. Let's back up. Okay. So, wow, okay, I got ahead of myself. So back to Arkansas. Let's take a quick look at the map. There's no auctions to show you. In fact, before we do the map, let's go to the inventory history report. Over-the-counter inventory history. Let's go to Arkansas. And this is where I can see those 940 properties that were just added in October. For your convenience, you can sort by the columns, sort by building, and get the highest building value up top. And if you wanted to go purchase one of these, we have a vacant property right off the bat. It's a 2023 tax deed worth $20,000. Could be some problems there. Let's take a look at the panorama view and look at the house. I do see some definite roof damage. Some things are boarded up. I would expect some rehab costs to be needed to preserve that property. But if that's the strategy you're after, you would click on the apply with the Commissioner of State Lands. These are new instructions as of 2021, so I guess they're kind of old instructions now, but they still work. We would continue to Arkansas's website. And this one, the bidding has already started. You can see 20 days remaining, and the current bid is at $1,600. So to place a bid, you would just use this right-hand panel to place your bid wherever you want it and track that auction through the remaining 20 days. Remember, this says it's an auction, but you're actually buying a leftover tax deed. This is not the annual auctions because that season has ended. These are the leftovers. And one of the things people love about Arkansas is there's no redemption once you buy that property. So these sales are very much final. So you're going to have the shortest distance to owning property here, probably compared to other states. So again, here's the over-the-counter inventory. You can also view on the map and go to Arkansas. We'll pick Baxter County. There's 36 properties, and they're going to show up on the map in this blue outline because these are tax deeds, and so they look like this. And again, the property report is going to take you to this link where you can go to the Commissioner of State Lands to place your bid. Okay, so moving along, let's talk about Mississippi. The tax lien auctions for all counties, those all happened on the 28th of August. It's been over with for a little while now. It did drag on for about a week, but now we're firmly in the over-the-counter season. When you buy over-the-counter through Mississippi, these are purchased through the Mississippi Tax Forfeited Lands. And it's a state division, and there are currently 7,867 OTCs available. They're available year-round from this website to purchase. And you essentially are going to submit an application to buy, and you get a quote, and you decide if you want to buy it. But we're looking at additions to that inventory. There were 957 over-the-counters added in September, and 209 added in October so far. Oh, getting ahead of myself again. Okay. So we'll do a quick look at the inventory history report. If you ever want to find this, it's in the tools menu right here. So let's go to Mississippi. And we're looking at 209 properties added in October on the green bar. You can go month by month and see adds and removals. 102 were removed, 209 were added, and we can sort. Let's sort by building value. Pull some of the more valuable ones up to the top. And I'm going to click on this one just to show you an example. It's a house tax deed, vacant, in an opportunity zone, available from tax forfeited lands. And we do have step-by-step instructions. They're not the easiest to follow because it's not the easiest website to use when you go to Mississippi's tax forfeited lands. I would hope you would consider that as an advantage and an opportunity for you, since so many people will try to figure this out without parcel fair and get frustrated or give up. Here are the steps, including exactly the numbers to enter, exactly what to click, and how to purchase, or I'm sorry, how to get a quote to purchase from Mississippi. So that's how you would buy over-the-counter in Mississippi when you locate a property that you are interested in. Okay, finally, let's jump over to Florida. I split this up because we've been tracking this OTC tax lien season just by numbers, and I thought we would go with a picture this time to illustrate where we are in the OTC tax lien season. So starting off in June on the left here, you see there were that's when the tax lien auctions concluded for the year, and about 20,000 over-the-counter liens or properties were added to inventory very rapidly. And about 3,800 were removed from inventory, so they're either purchased or late redemption. In July, you can see another 11,500 were added, and 7,289 removed or redeemed, probably purchased. And then you see a dramatic shift in August where very few liens were added, but you can still see a healthy number were purchased or redeemed. Moving into September, 623 added. And now here in October, you can see both those numbers have dropped. We're sort of through all the thrash and churn of the OTC tax lien season, that all the chaos and craziness that happens from June through roughly August or so. So only 9 over-the-counter tax liens added in October, and 464 either purchased or redeemed. So this puts us squarely into that off season, but let's recap what those seasons are on the right-hand panel here. So we have the auctions for tax liens are in May and June. The tax deed auctions, on the other hand, happen all year, so you can buy those all year. There are 75 of those auctions in October, and 27 remaining. It's a very steady stream of auctions in Florida year-round. Definitely our most active state. 42 more tax deed auctions are being tracked for November, and probably more coming as we get into November. We also have foreclosure auctions that happen all year. There were 338 scheduled in October, 103 auctions, not properties, auctions remaining. There are a ton of these auctions happening. in Florida. And then over the counter, these are also, to switch gears from auctions, these over the counter opportunities happen all year. You can buy tax liens over the counter direct from the county, or you can buy tax deeds, also known as lands available for taxes, where you're buying the tax deed from the county. So all of those things in the right-hand panel, you can do in Parcel Fair. You can do your research. You can dig through tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of properties, find the liens and deeds that you want or foreclosures, and then follow the instructions on our website to purchase from there. We do a lot of videos on Florida, but we'll do a quick review here. If you want to look at Florida, we have a lot of videos that can help you out. Let's start with the auction calendar, which is huge at this time of year. We're looking, I think it's a few thousand auctions have happened by now. We have a filter where we can look at just those tax deed auctions here to limit what we're having to dig through. And it's taking a second to get to that. Okay, now let's see. There's 75 in October, 42 more in November. And these tax deed auctions, they are a handful of properties. Let's open up one and take a look at, this is Charlotte. So we have near the coast, just north of Fort Myers, it looks like a chunk of properties here. It looks like a development that is active but not aggressively developing, if I had to speculate. I do see rooftops and houses, but plenty of vacant lots still available, and those are the ones that seem to be up for tax deed auctions. So let's take a look at we'll pull this one up. So it's undeveloped land. The amount due, which is going to be the auction, starts at $4,900. The land value is only listed at $7,200 as the county valuation, which probably runs low in a market like this, but you might want to check your comps and see what things are selling for in the area. But if this is the type of tax deed you're looking for, you can see details about the auction here, the date, it's online, and amounts due, the registration links, and even the list. And if you want to know more about this property, we have a chunk of links over here on the right side. You can go to the appraiser, tax collector, comptroller, the lien auction website, or even look at the county held liens. We'll just sample out here with the appraiser. And we have a hurricane update, strangely. Okay, so that'll take you to the appraiser website if you want to dig in further. But that's a snapshot of how you would look at a property that's a tax deed in Florida. If you wanted to see something else, let's go to foreclosures only, and we'll just look at all counties. Whoops, let me try that again. So right now, there are 1,297 properties up for foreclosure auctions in Florida. That's scattered across many counties. So let's just click on Find on Map on the first one I see. This is in Lee County, which if we zoom out, it's a very densely populated area north of Cape Coral. It's interesting, there's a canal that runs through this neighborhood, so wow, very dense. But let's click on the property, and we can see the Google car has a snapshot for us here. We have all the important information on the property, and this is one of those odd ones where the foreclosure amount due at $247,000 is higher than the county's listed total value at $229,000. So you would want, again, to look at some comps and see if that's something that's worth pursuing. Let's take a closer look on the satellite here. This house looks like it has a lot of roof damage. Could be a hurricane or something going on here. But that's a great thing to notice on the satellite image before you pursue this property. If you're going to be spending that kind of money, you definitely want to send your scout or yourself out to go get a close look at this property before you spend that type of money. So there's a lot of other videos on Florida on our channel, but that's a good snapshot of where things stand this time of year. So Alabama, we always call it the reseller season or the off season or the over-the-counter season because there's a lot of ways to buy even when we're not in the auction season. So I've gone a different approach this week, and I've drawn out a graphic for us to look at to show you the Alabama seasons, if you will. So starting from the top, you'll see we have these tax lien auctions and tax certificate auctions. There's a slight difference there. The tax lien auctions are the new 12% tax liens that are 3 year redemption period, 12% interest, and about half the counties are roughly in that system, the new system, and beneath it are the tax certificate auctions, which are 3 years until they mature into a deed, and they're 8% interest on those certificates. But those are the tax deeds that people tend to really pursue, come out of those second ones, which are the tax certificate auctions. Again, half the counties roughly in that system. But coincidentally, they have the same season. Their lists become available in January and February, even into March. The auctions begin in April and run into early June. And then you have this auction off season from July through the end of the year when there's nothing really auction going on. But don't fret, there's tons of other stuff going on because you can see this blue chunk of OTCs. There are the county OTC liens that you can buy from the county in the new system. There are the Alabama Department of Revenue over-the-counter certificates, which are the leftovers that have not matured into deeds yet. And then you have the Alabama Department of Revenue over-the-counter deeds that have matured from certificate to deed. All three of those over-the-counter types of investments are available year-round. And in the middle of the year, from about May through August, is when most of those new ones are released. You will see a trickle of them coming in throughout the year, and I'll show you that in a minute. But for the most part, this is kind of that blue area on the right where they're available for purchase, but not a lot of new ones being released. And then the bottom two categories, resellers like Anderson Realty Group, USA Deed, and Parcel Fair Direct Offers, where you're buying from other Parcel Fair users. Those inventories rotate literally weekly. You'll see new properties with the resellers every week as they're either buying, selling, or getting price quotes on properties to list. So those are the most volatile inventory that you should check frequently, the resellers. And lastly, we have a few land banks that it's hard to predict, but sometimes they just go dormant, where they literally stop taking applications for a month or 3 and then come back after a little while. Right now, the Gadsden Land Bank is in that offline state, but we do have one in Montgomery and in Birmingham that are online, and they do add inventory year-round. Of course, you're buying the actual property with a quiet title action included on those land banks, so it's a bit of a different investment. But this illustrates for you where we are in the season. You can kind of use this as a cheat sheet throughout the year to understand what's going on in Alabama's tax investing season. It's a little complicated because there's counties on new and old systems, but I think this is a good capture if you're new to Alabama, understanding what's available and when other things will be available. So we'll move on to Arizona. Arizona, we would say, is in the over-the-counter season because the auctions ended in March. The over-the-counter liens have been released, and you can purchase those directly from the county for full 16% interest. There are 40,000-ish of those to choose from, and we have a lot of videos and demos on this already, but let's take a quick look at the inventory history for Arizona. So only one new property was added in Arizona for October. You can see it below. It's actually already been removed. It must have been purchased pretty quickly. But this is that property that was added, and of course there's no street view because why would there be? Let's go back to September and take a look. There were some properties added in September, way out of season, but a handful, 113, were added. A lot of lower value properties, but a few in there that might be worth pursuing. Again, we're kind of in the time of the year where there's not a lot going on. And let's just click on one just to show you an example. We're looking at kind of a commercial looking property in Yuma in an opportunity zone. And if you wanted to buy this property, you will follow these instructions for the bidder form, W-9 form, the treasurer, and all the steps to go buy this property. Okay, we're getting into the final few states here. Let's talk about North Carolina. It's a year-round auction season. These are individual foreclosure auctions for tax properties. We are in early preview mode, so there's very few counties. And send us your suggestions. I haven't heard any suggestions for North Carolina in a while, so I think I'm probably going to switch gears and pull in some over-the-counter inventories next. If you have something you want to see, speak up. I'm happy to accommodate if possible. We're going to group Oklahoma and Utah together because they have the same story. They're both off-season. Auction season in Oklahoma ended in June. Utah ended in May. There are over-the-counter properties in a few counties. We just added Tulsa County. I'll show you that in a second. And there are more counties to come. Send us your suggestions. Let's go check out Tulsa County. And we're going to click on Oklahoma. And don't laugh because Tulsa literally only had 2 properties in over-the-counter inventory. And here they are. So we'll click on the first one, and on the right side we'll click Find on Map. It's an odd-shaped property considering the area. It sort of runs parallel to the street. I don't know what you would do with that property, so it's there. Let's click on the report and take a look at it. $100 for this property. It's not much going on there. So, if Tulsa does have new properties being added, this is where you would find them. But for now, it's kind of quiet. The other one here is even worse. It's just a scrap of land in the backyard here. So, definitely has been picked over. Not much to look at in Tulsa's over-the-counter inventory. You may have better luck in the Oklahoma County inventory, which has 225 parcels. And so if you're an Oklahoma investor that looks at over-the-counter properties, let us know if there's counties you'd like to see. So finally, for the end of the video, to wrap things up, we're going to show you a little bit of the South Carolina preview, our newest auction season that we're tracking this year. We call it preview because we're going to do our best to get a lot of counties in there for you. But at this point, we have 3 counties so far, about 6,000 properties available to research in the system, which is a lot for 3 auctions. We'll keep going on those auctions and send us more county suggestions. And by the way, thank you for the suggestions so far. Several of you have been vocal about South Carolina asking for this. So we are going to take a peek at these auctions. If we get enough going on, I'll do a separate video. But for now, you can see Greenville, Spartanburg, Charleston, and today we'll take a peek at Charleston. It was one of the larger counties. Let's click Markers and Overlay to go draw our county borders. And I'm going to click on Map. It's a long county stretching out over a lot of coast. Of course, the city of Charleston is here on this kind of inlet area. Very old historic area. And some of the outlying areas on the more coastal, you can see actually on the water over here. There are properties like this one, or some of the ones over here that are literally oceanfront properties. As we always say, these are going to be some of the toughest ones to get because you'll buy liens in a lot of these cases and they will redeem quickly. If anyone has an interest in these valuable properties, they're not going to let it get very far. So there's some waterfront. We have actually an interesting property here. I think this is going to be, so you can notice it's an apartment unit, apartment 206 in this building. You're not buying the whole building. But that legal description shows us that it's apartment 206 is in the auction. So this has been interesting to explore. I recommend if you want to check out some of these county auctions, just give yourself the tour. There's so much you can look at and learn about the region. A lot of these inland maybe even have some waterfront on the rivers. And then just to wrap it up here, let's look at Charleston in the city area. These properties very unlikely to make it all the way through, but you have some of these on the beautiful part of town right here, historic looking houses. They are tax delinquent. Who knows? They may make it to auction, or maybe they'll get redeemed ahead of time. And if you want to see the property valuations or the assessor, you can click these research links and we'll take you straight to the starting point for you to do more research on these properties so that you can check out these investments. So hopefully South Carolina is something you're interested in and that it's useful for you. We're going to learn a lot about it, I'm sure. And if you're investing there, please reach out. We'd love to chat with you and understand your experiences. So that closes out this week. I hope you have a great week. And if you have questions, always reach out. I try to answer the YouTube comments as fast as I can, but the fastest way to reach us is on parcelfair.com. We, of course, have a contact form there. We also have a free 7-day trial you can check out. And I hope this has been useful for you. And thanks for watching.